The year is 1995. A 23-year-old Dwayne Johnson stands in a shabby apartment staring at his wallet. Inside, just $7. His football dreams had just been shattered, cut from the CFL's Calgary Stampeders. No job, no backup plan, and no clue where to go next. With nowhere else to turn, he called his father, wrestling legend Rocky Johnson, hoping for guidance. But instead of support, he got a warning. This business will chew you up and spit you out. Fast forward to today, and The Rock is a global superstar with a billion-dollar empire. From WWE dominance to Hollywood blockbusters, tequila empires, and fitness brands, he built his fortune through sheer willpower. But his path wasn't easy. He faced failure, rejection, and career-altering controversies. So how did Dwayne Johnson go from being broke and rejected to one of the most powerful figures in entertainment? And what nearly cost him everything he built? Let's break it all down. Before the billion-dollar empire, the private jets, and the Hollywood fame, Dwayne Johnson was just a kid struggling to find his place in the world. His journey wasn't just about success, it was about survival. Dwayne Douglas Johnson was born on May 2, 1972 in Hayward, California, but his childhood was anything but stable. His father, Rocky Johnson, was a professional wrestler, constantly on the road, chasing his own career. His mother, Ata Johnson, was the daughter of the legendary Samoan wrestler Peter Maivia, meaning that wrestling ran deep in his blood. But despite being born into a wrestling family, life was far from glamorous. Money was tight, and the Johnson family moved constantly, bouncing between California, Hawaii, Pennsylvania, and Florida as his father pursued opportunities. By the time Dwayne was in high school, he had lived in 13 different states, never staying long enough to feel like he truly belonged. Things got worse when he was 14 years old. One day, Dwayne came home to find an eviction notice pinned to the front door of their tiny Honolulu apartment. His mother had just lost her job and they had nowhere to go. He watched as his mother sat on the curb, crying, with no idea what to do next. That moment burned into his memory forever. It was the first time he truly understood what rock bottom felt like. Dwayne was never the kid who sat quietly in the classroom. Frustrated by their struggles, he started getting into fights, skipping school, and running with the wrong crowd. By the time he was 16, he had been arrested multiple times for theft and fighting. He was over 6 feet tall, 200 pounds, and already looked like an adult, which made him a natural enforcer for small-time hustlers in his neighborhood. At one point, he and a group of friends ran a shoplifting operation, stealing expensive clothing from stores in Hawaii and reselling them for quick cash. It was fast money, but it wasn't the future he wanted. Then, everything changed when he walked into Freedom High School in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. At first, teachers assumed he was a new undercover cop, he was that big. But it was on that campus that Dwayne found the one thing that would pull him out of trouble: football. Dwayne had always been athletic, but it was at Freedom High School where he discovered his true potential on the football field. His combination of size, speed, and raw power made him an unstoppable force. By his senior year, he was one of the best high school football players in the country, attracting attention from top colleges. In 1991, he earned a full scholarship to the University of Miami, one of the most dominant football programs at the time. At Miami, he was surrounded by future NFL stars, players like Warren Sapp and Ray Lewis. But for the first time in his life, Dwayne wasn't the biggest, strongest guy on the field. He had to work twice as hard just to keep up. Then disaster struck. A devastating shoulder injury cost him his starting position, and no matter how hard he fought, he never reclaimed it. His dream of playing in the NFL slipped through his fingers. Still, he refused to quit. After graduating, he signed with the Calgary Stampeders in the Canadian Football League, hoping to work his way up to the NFL. But just 2 months into the season, he was cut from the team. At 23 years old, Dwayne Johnson had no job, no money, and no backup plan. He had $7 in his pocket and was forced to move back in with his parents. For the first time in his life, he felt like he had truly failed. With nowhere else to go, Dwayne reluctantly turned to the one thing he had spent his whole life avoiding: wrestling. Growing up, he had seen how brutal the industry was. His father, Rocky Johnson, had worked tirelessly in the wrestling world but never made millions. The business was unpredictable, full of backstabbing, and physically punishing. When Dwayne told his father he wanted to become a wrestler, Rocky refused to train him. He warned him that the business was cruel and unforgiving. But Dwayne had no other options. He begged for a chance and finally Rocky gave in. The training was brutal, 6 hours a day, every day. His father beat him down, pushed him beyond his limits, and reminded him that nothing in wrestling came easy. Eventually, he earned a shot in WWE, then WWF, making his debut in 1996 under the name Rocky Maivia, a tribute to his father and grandfather. But things didn't go as planned. The fans hated him. Dwayne realized that if he wanted to succeed, he had to reinvent himself completely. In 1997, everything changed. Dwayne turned heel, embracing an arrogant, cocky persona, calling himself The Rock. Within a year, he had become one of the biggest stars in wrestling. By the early 2000s, he was a multiple-time WWE champion, headlining WrestleMania and selling out arenas worldwide. But The Rock wasn't just another wrestler, he had something bigger in mind. He saw what Hulk Hogan and other wrestlers had attempted to do in Hollywood, and he knew he could do it better. It was time to take the next step. From homelessness and failure to WWE superstardom, Dwayne Johnson had already proven that he could rise from rock bottom. But his biggest move was yet to come. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson isn't just a Hollywood star, he lives like one. From multi-million-dollar mansions to private jets and a tequila empire worth billions, The Rock has built a lifestyle that few can match. But unlike other celebrities who burn through their fortunes, Johnson's wealth is the result of carefully calculated moves that have made him one of the richest entertainers in the world. When The Rock isn't filming blockbuster movies, he's living in some of the most luxurious mansions on the planet. His real estate empire stretches across the country, each home more extravagant than the last. His crown jewel? A $27 million mega mansion in Beverly Hills, nestled in one of the most exclusive neighborhoods in Los Angeles. The property features a private tennis court, a world-class gym, a massive infinity pool, and a home theater that rivals Hollywood's finest. But Johnson isn't just about city life. He also owns a massive farm in Virginia, where he escapes the chaos of Hollywood. This sprawling estate comes with rolling fields, stables for his horses, and even a private fishing lake. It's where he unwinds, spending time with his family and connecting with nature, something he says keeps him grounded. And when he needs to be closer to his film projects, The Rock has a multi-million-dollar Miami mansion, complete with a custom gym that allows him to maintain his legendary physique no matter where he is. His properties aren't just homes or buildings, they're reflections of his success. With a physique as massive as The Rock's, 6'5", 260 pounds of pure muscle, it's no surprise that not every car can accommodate him. That's why his car collection is tailored to both power and size. His favorite is a customized Ford Hennessy Velociraptor, a supercharged beast built to handle his frame while delivering mind-blowing horsepower. But that's just the beginning. His garage includes a $2 million Pagani Huayra, one of the most exclusive supercars in the world, a Rolls-Royce Wraith, a luxury masterpiece designed for both speed and comfort, and a Ford GT, a high-performance sports car that blends racing heritage with cutting-edge technology. Despite his love for supercars, The Rock is also known for gifting vehicles to family, friends, and even fans. He has surprised his mom with a Cadillac, his cousin with a brand new truck, and even given away his personal cars to deserving people. For him, wealth isn't just about what you own, it's about how you use it. While most people dream of flying first class, The Rock flies on his own terms. He owns a $65 million Gulfstream G650 private jet, the same jet used by CEOs and billionaires around the world. The interior has luxury leather seating, a full dining area, and top-of-the-line entertainment systems, allowing him to relax, strategize, or hold meetings while traveling between film sets, business meetings, and personal vacations. And unlike many celebrities who travel solo, The Rock makes sure his entire team flies with him, covering their costs as part of his loyalty to those who helped him build his empire. When he's not in the air, he's on the water, cruising in a multi-million-dollar luxury yacht, where he enjoys time with family and close friends, in complete privacy. Dwayne Johnson is also a business mogul with an empire that stretches far beyond entertainment. One of his biggest financial successes is Teremana Tequila, a brand that has become one of the fastest-growing tequila companies in history. Launched in 2020, Teremana exploded onto the market, selling over 600,000 cases in its first year. Experts estimate that Teremana could soon be worth over $3 billion, putting The Rock in the same financial league as George Clooney, whose Casamigos tequila was sold for $1 billion. But Johnson didn't just slap his name on the bottle, he built the company from the ground up, ensuring quality, sustainability, and a direct connection with his fans. The Rock isn't just about luxury, he's about discipline, fitness, and pushing the limits of what's possible. That's why his collaboration with Under Armour has turned into one of the most successful athlete brand partnerships in history. His Project Rock apparel, footwear, and training gear have become bestsellers, worn by athletes, gym-goers, and even military personnel worldwide. The gear isn't just about fashion, it's about a mindset, something The Rock preaches every day. With each new release, Project Rock sells out within hours, proving that Johnson's brand is more than just a name, it's a movement. For years, Johnson has topped Forbes' list of highest-paid actors, pulling in over $100 million per year from films, endorsements, and production deals. But it wasn't always that way. When he first broke into Hollywood, he struggled to be taken seriously, often being told he was too big or too different for traditional leading roles. His breakthrough came when he rebranded himself, stepping into major franchises like Fast and Furious and Jumanji, proving that he wasn't just a wrestler, he was a box office machine. With upcoming projects including Moana 2, Red Notice 2, and a potential Fast and Furious return, The Rock's Hollywood reign is far from over. For all his wealth, Johnson is one of the most generous celebrities in the world. He has donated millions to children's hospitals and disaster relief efforts, quietly paid for struggling athletes' training and education, and even surprised fans with free houses, cars, and financial support when they needed it most. His philosophy? It's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. With his tequila empire booming, his business ventures thriving, and his movie career still at its peak, Dwayne Johnson is on track to become one of the world's next billionaires. But despite the luxury, the fame, and the success, his journey hasn't been without controversy. From struggling to find his place in WWE to dominating Hollywood, The Rock's journey was never about luck. It was about relentless reinvention, smart business decisions, and an unstoppable work ethic that turned him into one of the most powerful figures in entertainment. But behind every championship belt, box office record, and billion-dollar brand, there's a story of risk, strategy, and calculated moves that made him the global icon he is today. When Dwayne Johnson first stepped into a WWE ring, he wasn't welcomed as a future legend. Instead, he was met with boos, rejection, and a fan base that wanted nothing to do with him. His debut persona, Rocky Maivia, was a clean-cut, smiling babyface that audiences found unbearable. The chants of "Die, Rocky, die" weren't just jeers, they were WWE's brutal way of telling him he wasn't working. For many, that level of rejection would have been the end. But for Johnson, it was the catalyst for his greatest reinvention. He went back to the drawing board and created The Rock, a cocky, sharp-tongued, and completely unapologetic heel. Instead of trying to win over the fans, he insulted them, mocked his opponents, and crafted one of the most entertaining personas in wrestling history. The transformation was instant. His rivalries with Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H, and The Undertaker became legendary. His charisma on the microphone turned every promo into a must-watch event. The Rock wasn't just another wrestler, he was a show within the show. By the time he was at his peak, he had become the biggest draw in professional wrestling, headlining multiple WrestleManias and winning the WWE Championship 10 times. Merchandise sales skyrocketed, pay-per-view numbers soared, and The Rock had officially become the face of WWE. But while most wrestlers would have stayed to cement their legacy, The Rock saw something greater on the horizon. Hollywood was calling, and he wasn't about to let the opportunity slip away. Walking away from WWE wasn't an easy decision. Johnson had built a brand, a fan base, and a reputation that guaranteed him success in wrestling for years to come. But he wasn't interested in just being great in one industry. He wanted to dominate multiple industries. His Hollywood debut in The Mummy Returns was his first test. While his screen time was brief, it was enough to land him his first starring role in The Scorpion King. It was a major gamble. The success of the film depended entirely on his ability to carry it, and he delivered. But Johnson wasn't satisfied with just being another action star. He knew that if he wanted longevity, he needed to prove he was more than just muscles and fight scenes. He took comedic roles, family films, and action comedies, showcasing a versatility that Hollywood wasn't expecting. Even with these roles, there was still skepticism about whether he could truly lead a blockbuster franchise. That all changed in 2011 when he joined Fast and Furious 5 as Luke Hobbs, a relentless lawman who stole every scene he was in. His addition to the franchise didn't just elevate his career, it changed the entire trajectory of Fast and Furious, turning it into a billion-dollar powerhouse. With this success, Johnson cemented himself as a box office juggernaut. While most actors focus on collecting paychecks, Johnson approached Hollywood like a businessman. He negotiated back-end deals, took ownership of projects, and used his social media empire to promote his films. By 2018, he had reached the top, becoming the highest-paid actor in Hollywood. His films weren't just successful, they were global events. Box office records followed, with films like Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle crossing $962 million worldwide, and Fast and Furious 7 soaring past $1.5 billion. His dominance wasn't just about picking the right films, it was about how he controlled his career. He wasn't just starring in movies, he was producing them, marketing them, and ensuring that every project he touched turned to gold. But Hollywood wasn't the final stop in his career, it was just another stepping stone. For most actors, the goal is to build a successful film career, but for The Rock, acting was just one part of a much bigger vision. He wasn't just an entertainer, he was a brand. As earlier mentioned, his first major business success came with Teremana Tequila, a company he didn't just endorse, but built from the ground up. Unlike other celebrity liquor brands, Teremana wasn't just about putting his name on a bottle. It was about creating a quality product that could stand on its own. The results were staggering. Within its first year, Teremana sold over 600,000 cases, and industry experts predict it could soon be worth over $3 billion, putting Johnson in the same category as George Clooney, who sold his tequila brand for $1 billion. But he didn't stop there. His fitness brand, Project Rock, became one of Under Armour's top-sellered lines, selling out collections within hours. His ZOA energy drink brand disrupted the fitness beverage market, competing with industry giants like Red Bull. Every move he made in business followed the same principle. He wasn't just investing, he was leading. In an era where social media drives engagement, Johnson wasn't just active, he was in control. With over 400 million followers across platforms, he became the most followed actor in the world, and that influence turned into money, power, and opportunities. Unlike traditional Hollywood stars who relied on studio marketing, Johnson marketed his own films, his own brands, and his own businesses. He had direct access to his fans, allowing him to sell products, promote movies, and build personal connections that kept his influence stronger than ever. Studios weren't just hiring him for his acting ability, they were hiring him for his global reach. Dwayne Johnson didn't just rise to the top, he built a new path to success that no one had ever seen before. He transformed himself from a failed football player to the biggest name in wrestling. He left WWE at the peak of his career to take a chance on Hollywood, then became the highest-paid actor in the industry. He used that fame to build a billion-dollar business empire, proving that success isn't about talent alone, it's about vision, strategy, and execution. But despite everything he's built, The Rock's journey hasn't been without controversy. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has built his career on hard work, discipline, and an image of being one of the most likable celebrities in the world. But even the biggest stars aren't immune to controversy. From explosive feuds and behind-the-scenes power struggles to business deals that raised eyebrows, The Rock's journey hasn't been without its fair share of drama. Some of these moments threatened to derail his empire, but as always, Johnson found a way to stay on top. The Fast and Furious franchise was already a global phenomenon when Johnson joined in 2011 as Luke Hobbs, a no-nonsense lawman who became an instant fan favorite. His presence injected fresh energy into the series, helping Fast 5 break box office records and setting the stage for even bigger sequels. But behind the scenes, tensions were brewing. By Fast and Furious 8, the relationship between The Rock and Vin Diesel had completely fallen apart. It all started when Johnson posted a cryptic Instagram message calling some of his male co-stars candy asses and accusing them of being lazy and unprofessional. Though he didn't mention Diesel by name, insiders quickly confirmed that the post was aimed directly at him. The rift only grew deeper. Reports surfaced that Johnson and Diesel refused to film scenes together, forcing the production team to carefully plan around their feud. While Diesel, as a producer on the franchise, had significant creative control, Johnson, who was rapidly becoming one of Hollywood's most bankable stars, wasn't willing to take orders from anyone. As the tension escalated, Johnson made a bold move. He refused to return for Fast and Furious 9, instead launching his own spin-off Hobbs and Shaw with Jason Statham. The decision sent shockwaves through the franchise, essentially creating two competing Fast and Furious universes. Diesel later pleaded publicly for Johnson to return, but Johnson dismissed the request, calling Diesel's attempt at reconciliation manipulative. The feud remains one of Hollywood's biggest, proving that even The Rock isn't immune to high-stakes power struggles. For years, The Rock dreamed of playing a superhero, and he set his sights on Black Adam, a character he believed could redefine the DC universe. He spent over a decade lobbying for the role, promising that the film would shift the power dynamics of superhero movies. But when Black Adam was finally released in 2022, the reality didn't match the hype. The movie underperformed at the box office, failing to break even after marketing costs were factored in. Behind the scenes, things were even messier. Johnson reportedly clashed with Warner Brothers executives, pushing for a Henry Cavill Superman cameo without fully securing DC's long-term plans. He also skipped promoting other DC films, focusing entirely on his own character, and making it clear that he wanted Black Adam to be the new face of the franchise. When new DC bosses James Gunn and Peter Safran took over, they quietly shut the door on Johnson's future in the franchise. Black Adam wouldn't be getting a sequel, and Johnson, who had positioned himself as DC's next major star, was suddenly out of the picture. It was a rare moment where The Rock miscalculated his power in Hollywood, proving that even the biggest stars can't control everything. In 2020, The Rock made headlines by purchasing the XFL, a failed football league originally created by WWE's Vince McMahon. Johnson saw an opportunity to revive the league and position it as an alternative to the NFL, focusing on innovation and giving overlooked players a second chance. But the relaunch in 2023 didn't go as planned. Viewership numbers were lower than expected, and the league struggled to attract mainstream attention. Financial reports showed that the XFL was losing millions, with some analysts questioning whether it could survive long-term. Despite his passion for football, Johnson faced major backlash from fans and investors, who accused him of overhyping the league without a clear long-term strategy. The XFL is still fighting to stay afloat, but it's clear that this venture hasn't been the easy win The Rock envisioned. Dwayne Johnson has always been careful with his public image, avoiding controversy and staying politically neutral for most of his career. But in 2020, he broke that rule by endorsing a U.S. presidential candidate for the first time. While some praised him for taking a stand, the move divided his fan base, with many accusing him of alienating the very people who supported him. Some former fans even vowed to boycott his movies, claiming that he had become too involved in politics. Adding to the speculation, Johnson hinted in multiple interviews that he was considering running for President of the United States. While the idea of The Rock in the White House was met with mixed reactions, some saw him as a charismatic leader, while others dismissed it as a publicity stunt. It marked a rare moment where his usually untouchable public persona faced real scrutiny. Eventually, Johnson distanced himself from the idea, admitting that politics would take too much time away from his family and business ventures. With his name attached to so many successful businesses, it's easy to assume that everything The Rock touches turns to gold. But even his business empire hasn't been free of controversy. His Teremana tequila brand, while one of the fastest-growing tequila companies in history, has faced criticism for overhyped marketing claims, with some in the spirits industry suggesting that it's more about branding than quality. Similarly, his Project Rock partnership with Under Armour has been accused of overpricing products, with some customers arguing that the gear is more about The Rock's image than actual performance. And then there's his ZOA energy drink, which entered the highly competitive energy drink market but struggled to compete with giants like Red Bull and Monster. While Johnson's name gave it a strong launch, industry experts question whether the brand has long-term staying power. While none of these business challenges have severely impacted his empire, they raise an important question. Is The Rock spreading himself too thin? Dwayne Johnson's success has been built on calculated risks, relentless work ethic, and an ability to reinvent himself. But even the most powerful figures in entertainment face challenges, and The Rock is no exception. From high-profile feuds to failed business ventures, political missteps, and Hollywood setbacks, he's navigated his fair share of controversy. But if history has proven anything, it's that The Rock always finds a way to come back stronger. Dwayne Johnson's rise to the top wasn't a straight line. It was a series of calculated risks, reinventions, and bold decisions. As his career evolves, one thing is certain: The Rock isn't slowing down anytime soon. As he looks toward the future, the question isn't just about what he'll do next, it's about how he'll evolve once again to stay on top. What's next for a man who's already achieved everything? Even with his billion-dollar empire and Hollywood dominance, Dwayne Johnson isn't ready to rest on his laurels. His future plans include continuing to expand his business ventures, with rumors swirling that he's eyeing investments in everything from sports teams to wellness brands. But it's not just about money. Johnson's next big move could come in politics. After his flirtation with the idea of running for president, he's hinted that a political career might still be on the table. He's even considered building a rock-based political movement to inspire change. Did you know that while The Rock built his career on action-packed blockbusters, there's a young star who's taking Hollywood by storm with critically acclaimed dramatic roles? Well, that's Timothée Chalamet, who became the youngest Best Actor Oscar nominee in almost 80 years. And you can discover his meteoric rise by clicking on your screen now.